80?
Episode 80. 80.
80. It's not our first one then.
No. Are we rolling?
We've been doing this.
Episode 80.
How long's it been since we've actually done this?
I don't know.
Is it like
year and a half? Year and a half, something like that.
What?
Wow.
Oh, I thought you said since
Podcast.
we did it last. I'm like, you guys, it was like a week ago.
No, from the start.
Fun fact, Jim.
Fun fact.
There's only been 3 U.S. presidents that have been impeached, and you're the only person that's been alive for all 3 of them.
Wow.
Just kidding.
I like it.
Sorry, too
that
far.
That feels pretty good. No, that's good. I'm embracing it.
Johnson was like 1860s.
Oh, dear.
I think,
Yeah,
probably,
I don't even
wasn't
know.
it?
I just like that you had a random fact.
Well,
really.
who was it that was impeached? I don't even know.
It's Clinton.
Clinton for sure. I
Clinton,
knew that one.
Obviously now Trump. And is it Andrew Jackson? No.
I don't know the first one.
Is Trump, has he actually been impeached now, or is it just proceedings?
Yeah, but you know what impeached doesn't really
mean
Andrew
anything.
Johnson, sorry, not Andrew
Yeah,
Jackson.
well, can you explain that? Because that's not,
So-
it's not actually relieving them of their duty.
No,
No.
technically all impeached means is you've been served papers. Like you've been
Oh. See,
you've been
I thought
summoned
it was
to
like-
court.
Gotcha.
Right.
And court is the Senate.
Right.
And so the Senate will now proceed
Right.
to remove him or like hear him to but there's no in the Constitution there's no guidelines on what that
Right.
hearing looks like.
Right.
And so right now the fight is, are they going to allow witnesses? Are they not going to allow witnesses? And like the House is trying to postpone when the hearing actually starts. I think the White House is trying to push it up because they want to make Democrats look bad. Like it's just a big mess. It's like, what are we doing here? I don't know. Just
So it hasn't ever made it this far then?
yes, 3
Has.
times.
Oh, okay.
3 times.
FUBAR.
Andrew Johnson,
Clinton.
Bill Clinton, and now Trump. And now I mean Johnson.
What?
It's FUBAR.
You don't know what that means.
I think I do. It's a
Oh,
swear
sorry.
word, right?
Wasn't
Well, it includes some
I guess
swear
Nixon,
words, but it's an acronym.
Nixon too was impeached, right?
Nixon was. Nixon
Approved
was, yes.
3 articles of
Yes.
impeachment, and then he actually removed himself from office. He resigned from office. So yeah, so technically 4. And then Andrew Johnson was the result of political conflict and rupture of ideologies in the aftermath of the American Civil War.
So I guess technically I've been impeached in
And
my
so,
life.
yeah, 4. And then Clinton was for
Technically.
lying under oath, correct?
Yes.
I think so.
What did he say?
Yeah, I know.
I did
Yeah.
not have sexual relations
Yeah.
with that woman.
With that woman. Liar. Liar. Yes, you did.
Man, top Google searches. Here's all the presidents who've been impeached.
Here we go.
Is it more than you think?
I don't know, so I'm checking. Andrew Johnson. Bill Clinton.
Add.
Donald Trump. So I guess Nixon just went ahead and resigned. I don't know if he was even ever impeached. I think they went to impeach him, and he was just like, you know what?
Nah.
Peace.
Leave it to Rich to bring us great history lessons.
I like it. I like it.
history.
Do you have any other history lessons for us today, Rich?
Not today. Nothing's pressing.
Okay, well, that was pretty good.
That's good. That's information people can use.
It'll probably be
News
old
you
news
can
in a
use.
week or
News
two.
you can use.
News you can use with Rich Froning.
Nixon resigned in 74 before he could be impeached.
He got out.
Yeah, he gone.
I don't think man, I would not want to be the president.
No, it's the worst job.
Why
One
would
of
you
the
want
worst
to do
jobs
that?
in the world.
It's like being an umpire.
Everybody hates you.
Yeah.
You can't win.
Nope.
You're either crucified for whatever you're doing, and then you're just not praised if you're doing a great job.
Well, it's
The
like you
umpire.
said, half people love you or half people hate you.
Right.
In some cases, less than half.
Yeah,
more
but
than half.
it even goes further than that because some people want to actually kill you.
Oh, dear. Yeah,
You
there
know what
are.
I mean? There are people
Yeah.
who would actually kill you if they could.
Yeah.
Like,
It's true.
have you seen pictures of when they the president gets started and then
the
when they're
biggest
done?
one was, well, I guess the last 2, George W. Bush and then Obama. Both
Obama
looked awful,
horrible.
when they're at
Like
the end
they
of it.
look
It's just
way more
aged.
aged
I mean,
from-
8 years is a long time, though.
Yeah.
But with the stress and all that
Oh,
stuff.
my gosh, what that does?
Yeah.
And that's real, like the stress hormones of, oh, my
For
gosh,
sure it's
that'll
real.
take years off your life.
For sure it's real.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That whole thing would be that the system is designed. Our system is designed to bog things down.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it
So
goes
nobody has
slow
too much
and-
power.
Yeah, and so idiots like all of us don't screw it all up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't give one person all,
No.
you know, that's why we have checks and balances.
Right.
We have 3 branches. But I'll tell you what, I've listened to George W. Bush speak in person twice, and I actually sat from here to,
That's
you
so
know,
awesome.
2 chairs away from him, and that dude's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I know people are going to say
Yep.
he's a war criminal and all this stuff,
Yeah.
but I feel legit. I mean, obviously there's politics and things that you have to do and are done that are probably weren't the best, or definitely not the best.
Right.
But like you said, it's an awful job. But that dude cares.
Yeah,
and
for
he
sure.
was. I mean, to listen to him was crazy. He was awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
a cool test of his character too, not test, but have you ever seen any of the videos of him and Bill Clinton after the fact? They're like
they're
really good
friends now,
friends,
yeah.
and they're hilarious. Like, look up the YouTube videos of those two. They go back and forth, and it is so funny. But it's just such a testament of like, and they say it too, like how you can have differing opinions,
And
but
still-
how wildly entertaining they
Yeah.
are together, and like they poke at each other, and now they're just truly great friends that like hang out and golf together and have each other's back in situations like that. To me, was really, really cool.
Yeah. I think that it would be, I really hesitate. I'm around people that have ideology, big ideas about things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I would really hesitate to pass judgment on,
Yeah.
man, can you imagine actually being in that job?
No.
And then
That's-
being,
yeah,
being
seriously.
You
caught
got to
between
make
all of
spot
that
decisions
and,
on, like, I mean, and obviously, like I said, you get politics involved, and
Right.
like a lot of these guys and girls are lifetime politicians, and like
Yeah.
it's obviously there's some things that they didn't do right, a lot of things that they don't do
Sure.
right, and they, you have to play a game, but that's the thing. And I've read Reagan's book, 2 different biographies actually on Reagan, and it's just like the things you have to do to get
Yep.
what you think is right done, but you have to play both sides of the aisle. Like it's
Right.
the amount of politics that goes into, it's not like you're just making a daily decision. It's like, oh, what am I have for breakfast? That's not the types of decision those guys
Right.
and girls are making.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's
I can't imagine
legit, like the fate of the world. Like that's
Right.
what I noticed when we were in
Gosh.
Dubai, I just got back from Dubai, and it's
yeah.
just completely different world. And it was amazing. Let's get it out there. People are, you're afraid to go to the Middle East. Let's be honest.
Right.
Everybody was super welcoming. It's very where we were at. Obviously,
Right.
Dubai is a completely different world, but it's, everybody was super nice. At no point did I ever feel, out of place or anything. But we were talking about with Saud, one of the guys that was there, and brought us over there, just talking politics and world politics, and we're in such a bubble here that we think, but what is decided here or what is done here affects the entire world on an immense scale, and we don't even realize that. And so
Yeah.
I never really thought about it until he started talking. Like me growing up here in Cookeville when I was in high school, I paid attention, and I really like history, but I'm obviously a little bit more biased to the American history. But to really hear what world like politics and stuff
Yeah.
like that, the difference, it's insane. I just never really thought about how much what we do here on a daily basis, and it sounds biased, but we affect, everywhere, but still it's
Right.
crazy.
I don't. The president has to compromise. You have to.
Yep.
So you have to spend time trying to figure out where to be in the middle.
Where
And
can
I know for sure that we've had this conversation. We spend most of our life trying not to compromise.
Right.
And I'm not talking about illegal and immoral. I'm taking that off the table.
We're talking.
We're not doing that.
We're not talking about our president right now. We're talking about the office of president.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you say that what mountains are you willing to die on? So
Right.
you've got to figure out what are those things that you're unwilling to compromise,
Yeah.
and where can I compromise to get these things done that
Right.
I wholeheartedly believe in.
Yeah.
That's hard. Like I
Yeah.
can't even imagine. I
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
I think. How I think things should be ran, but what am I willing to sacrifice or kind of fudge
Right.
to get these things done that I want to get done? It's crazy. Like you think, if I was president, I would do this and I would do that and I would, like whatever.
it's not
but
that easy.
It's not that
Yeah.
easy. There's no way it can be that easy.
The best part of what's about who we are as Americans, in my mind, in my opinion, is the system that we were given. The system, the checks and balances.
Yep.
Those 3 branches. And it's designed to bog everything down so we don't ruin it.
Right.
That was the point.
Yeah.
And so you get ideologues or people who get really excited and they want their way, and then they're willing to do whatever it takes to win at all costs, which means destroying the system. So we got to slow down and be careful.
Figure out. But then here's my thing too: is people want to flip out on how much. Like obviously, yes, the president has a huge impact on what
Sure.
is done. Congress has a huge impact on
Sure.
what is done. The judiciary system has a huge impact on what's done. But that's the checks and one person can't completely change every,
Right.
we get so caught up in one person, one member of Congress or one, obviously over time, if we replace, the judges, one way, obviously conservative or liberal, yes, eventually it could have complications down the road. But I feel like the system is always self-righting. You know, like after a while, you know, you'll see a swing of like we have a bunch of conservative presidents, or we have a bunch of liberal presidents, and people got too tired of liberal presidents. They go back to conservative, and they're like, oh, I want to be more like it's just but that's the beauty of the system.
And if you track it back, that it's been that way always since the beginning. You go about 8 years, and then we pendulum back over this way because we're tired of that person.
So
what I'm super concerned about now is not destroying the system, and I want to weed out illegal. I don't like the people who are taking advantage, and I don't like any of that. But the basic fundamental system that we were given was a good one, and it was done on purpose.
System.
So that not one person had the power, and that we couldn't wreck it.
Right.
Are we more free than we've ever been? Yeah, we for sure are. Is there more opportunity? I didn't say it's perfect.
Right, for sure.
And we need to keep fighting for what's right. Yeah. But as far as the humanity goes, we're more free. We have more opportunity, and we need to kind of keep working and protecting that while we fix the holes in things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if we go back and forth between more government restriction, less government restriction, I feel like, you know, we got so far. Like I said, you go like, is there too much government restriction? Yes. Is there too less government restriction on things? Yes. So like, what is that? What is the middle, you know, ground? I mean, we want to, obviously, me personally, my views, I want to err more towards the less of government restriction. For sure. But, you know, I think there needs to be some in some cases? Heck yeah. Yeah.
Well, we need conservatives, because conservatives, you know, that pulls us back to really, you know, to really paying attention to some of these details. But we need liberals who are going, hey, take care of these people. Yeah, exactly. These people need, you know, we need a balance between that.
Got to figure it out.
Yeah. If we're way too far on either side of those,
we're too far.
Wrong,
and what we're getting nowadays is, well, we're going way politics, but we can't discuss. Right. Like me and you have different, we don't, but most of them we're on the same level. Right. But if we had differing opinions, we can talk about it. Like, I want to eat meat. Kristen doesn't want to eat meat. We don't fight about it. And so it's like, hey, I don't like. Why can't we all just get along?
But, you know, group hug.
I'm thankful for who we are and what we have.
Yep.
Going to Dubai, completely other side of the planet, completely different kind of perspective. What were some of the things that just struck you when you landed and you were there? And
I mean, it was beautiful. Weather was perfect. You know, it was 70 degrees. But then, man, just the engineering and infrastructure that they have set up there is crazy. It was super nice. You know, we drove down the kind of the main road of, they call it the most expensive road, I think, in the world. Wow. And just, you know, because we got there at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, so just the lights and everything. And then we go to this amazing hotel that they put us in, which was way over the top, not my style. Hillary loved it. She loved being pampered. It's called the Burj Al Arab, whatever you want to say. But it's on a man-made island.
Oh, no kidding.
And so, yeah, it's the only 7-star hotel, like 2-story suite, like way too cush for me. Wow. I didn't like I just felt uncomfortable. Like I shouldn't be touching anything. And so you look out at night and you see it looks like just kind of like an inlet or something that has, you know, a bunch of hotels and condos and whatever, and beautiful. And so sun comes up, you see that, and, you know, you just see what you think is just like I said, an inlet has, you know, condos, apartments, all kinds of hotels and stuff. But what you don't realize is that's an island that they built in the shape of a palm tree. So if you look at it from an aerial view, it's a palm tree. So like literally they built islands, and there's 2 sets of those. It's insane. So yeah, just the infrastructure, you know, like I said, and people are super welcoming. It's very obviously a tourist destination. And so
are there other cities close to it, or is it pretty isolated in terms of?
I think it's pretty isolated. We didn't really venture much outside of town, but it was beautiful. Super nice, very, you know, where we were at wasn't desert. It was, you know, I mean, there's not a ton of green space, but it was nice.
I'm not up on the geography in that area. Is Dubai a city?
Dubai is it a country, so it's the United Arab Emirates.
Okay, that's
so Dubai is there, Abu Dhabi, and I don't remember if there's. Forgive me for lack of my world geography, but then you kind of have Saudi. Well, it's kind of on this like peninsula, and then you have Saudi Arabia up here. You have Yemen. You have some other, you know.
But it's governed. It's its own.
It's its own. Yeah, it's kind of a different system. I guess it's the United Arab Emirates. And so they're a country, but they have their own kingdoms that have their own rulers, and the two rulers of those cities co-rule. There's a president, vice president type deal.
All right.
Like I said, I'm not super up on the politics. I got a huge politic lesson and just kind of traditions of the area.
Right.
But like I said, everybody was super nice, super welcoming.
Did you meet the head dude, the prince, the head
I didn't get to
honcho,
meet
whatever you
the
call him?
sheikh. So
The sheikh.
we call him sheiks.
I was going to say
Sheiks.
the sheik.
Sheikh.
Sheikh.
I did not get to meet the sheikh, but the guys that he has working for him there were top notch.
I gotcha.
Saud, Diego, and Muhammad were top
Very
of the
cool.
line, and everything was
awesome.
great. So it was, we had a great time.
CrossFit facilities are good. Like,
Yeah, great. The sheikh has his own like private compound. Impeccable. Like,
Really?
Wow.
Puts the barn to shame. Like,
gosh, I didn't even think that was possible.
size.
right?
Yeah.
The cleanliness was the big issue. It
He's probably got people.
Shocking. Yeah.
It was clean, way cleaner than the old barn. But yeah, the CrossFit community there was amazing. Everybody was super, super supportive, super just fired up to be there.
First sanctional program by you.
First team program sanctional, and I have to actually, how that all came about was they listened to this podcast.
Oh, wow.
And how I feel like it was constructive criticism last year.
Yeah.
But they listened, and they, in their defense, they said they wanted to try something different, and they didn't necessarily like the way it turned out. So they came to me and asked me to do it, and I guess we kind of reached out, but they were all for it, and were very, very welcoming. There were some things we had to change just because of the way the individuals events ran, how we did some equipment stuff, but it was pretty much everything was. There was a couple like a little, the first workout, the swim was supposed to be programmed was going to be programmed in a pool, and it turned out on the beach it was a little bit longer, so the time cap definitely should have been changed. So that was something. But there was. I think it went exactly how I see it in my mind. There's definitely some things that I err on the side of a little bit harder than a little bit easier most of the time, but I feel like teams.
How'd those athletes feel on Sunday? Were
I
they
think they were
pretty
pretty
Trashed. I feel like it was, me being biased, but I feel like it was a pretty decently well-rounded test. There's some definitely things that I maybe overlooked or should have changed a little bit, and that's part of learning. But I think, the best 2 and 3 teams finished most of the workouts. There was a couple workouts that only 1 or 2 teams finished, but those teams were so much better from a team's perspective that they definitely should have finished. And so I'm happy the way. I think a team that needs to be tested, and I think if you err too far on the easy side, there's no separation. And I think a well-rounded team should always be, way ahead. So
Yeah.
I think it was. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Like I said, some minor things that you always should be learning and always should be critiquing. So it was good.
Nobody died?
Not that I know of. Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
It's funny. I was talking
To be
to.
determined.
I did get. There was somebody that was like saying, because I Morning Chalk Up had a quote and me talking about programming, and somebody said, "Yeah, if you like workouts that nobody finishes or something like that," and so I gave a little jolt back and said, "I bet you like. I bet you like participation medals too." So.
I was talking to Haley.
Yeah.
And she said it was so funny to listen to Rich as a commentator.
Yeah.
She said because everything he said was so polished. That's not the word she used, and that's not how he would have said it in the barn. She was like, I'm not used to him talking
talking
like
like I know what I'm talking about.
Well, no, she didn't mean it that way. She
Right,
just meant like you would have said in the barn, hey, this is what we're doing. Let's get with it.
Yeah.
And you were
a little bit nicer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually kind of fun to get there, sit on the commentator or sit on the get in on the commentary.
Yeah.
And talk about what I was thinking about when I was making these workouts, when we've done most of them, all of them except for one we had done. So I knew kind of what the sticking point was, what was going on in their heads, the run, lunge, walk, and handstand walk.
I feel like that's super valuable too for you, like commentating too. If you've already done the workout, you're not gonna be like
It's totally
throwing out
different.
like weird stuff.
Yeah,
there.
I
Like,
can't even imagine honestly like doing commentary and not having done some version or of the work, or like
yeah, exactly.
having because Grundler, I guess Grundler and Chase both are ex-athletes, but some of these guys and girls that weren't ex-athletes, like I don't know how they even how do you come up
sometimes
with
you're
something
like-
to talk about?
Yeah,
you know?
like even
'Cause-
in open workouts, you're like trying to cheer someone on before I've done it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, just keep going.
Yeah,
and then
why
you
are
get
they
to
not-
that point and
Yeah,
you're
you're
like,
like, that was
I was
terrible.
such a jerk. Like, I didn't even know what they were going through,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So like, then you can kind of have some better points or like just little things here or there that you would know that other people
Yeah, it
wouldn't
was fun.
just
It was
from doing
hard too. Like there was one time you're watching a monitor because
Were you far away from the
first day I
athletes?
was there, you could watch because we were actually in the stadium with them. We're at the One Shake, the Crown Prince's like compound. The third and fourth day that I commentated, we weren't even in the stadium. We were outside the stadium. And so like you're just watching a monitor and you don't really know what's going on. And those guys had this kind of headpiece on.
Right.
I had just like a lapel mic. And so it was kind of a mess. And then people are like walking in and out of the stadium. Well, then they would recognize it was me. And so some guy just walks up, like I'm on the live broadcast, and he's trying to say, "Hey, can I get a picture?" And I'm like, "Oh, hold on." And then so I completely ruined my train of thought. So it was which event was it? It was the chipper thing. And so like for a minute, I get completely quiet because I have no idea like what my thought process is, like what's going on. So it was, I mean, just things you don't think about, and then you don't want to just ramble, and then you don't want to cut people off. It was fun, but it was interesting.
What'd you do for fitness? You get to work out?
Yeah, I worked out pretty much every day. Oh, I did work out every day that I was there, other than the days we traveled. I went to the Shakes compound pretty every day except for 1 or 2, and then I went to CrossFit Eliath, and then CrossFit Inner Fight.
So they have a lot of CrossFits over there.
There's quite a few CrossFit gyms, and then there was like a kind of your normal. It was definitely a nicer hotel gym. But they had a rower and it's like a pull-up bar and stuff like that. So usually in the evening, I'd either do something in the hotel room, some Tabata stuff or body weight stuff, and then or upstairs in the fitness room. So it was good. That's fitness in.
Nice.
Yeah. Sounds like you had
Yeah,
a
I
good
mean
time.
it's tough because it's that time for us. You know, we're competing in January, so got sanctional coming up. So we just tested one of the sanctional workouts for the scoring and live feed.
Looked really ugly.
It was really painful, so looking forward to that.
Wow.
What's your opinion of the sanctionals so far, watching the programming and the teams and everything?
There was a couple, I guess, one sanctional. There's just, what gets me is when they try to get too cute with some of the programming and like don't make it about the athletes. You know, you try to do these goofy standards and stuff like that. Like I'm all for like people have to hold and do that type of stuff, but I just don't like when you try to make the workout too complex, too cute, the movements too cute to like showcase athletes. I think it should just be pretty straightforward. I mean, that's what I tried to do. You know, with any of the events in Dubai, it was like there was no really goofy standards. I don't feel like personally, you know, like it wasn't like an alternating rep with a 1 up, 1 down, whatever. It was just like, hey, here's the work, get it done. Some synchro, some not. There was some relay. You know, there are individual parts of programming. There needs to be on teams. There's 2 persons. So like from my perspective, thinking, obviously you want to have a relay where you showcase individual side of the athlete, but to a team. So like, you know, I want to if somebody is better at something, they can showcase it, but you still have to have the whole team do something, I feel like.
Right.
So then, so there was that. There was a couple, 1 event, 2 events. So the swim and the dumbbell squat snatch, those were both individual, but team. There was guy pairs, girl pairs, or single sex pairs that were relays. I think that's super beneficial that, you know, they need to be able to work together. Then there was a 1 rep max, there was a workout like that. Then we had mixed gender pairs. Mixed gender pairs need to be able to work together, but as a team. And then we had several 4-person team workouts. So I feel like we tried to touch, you know, every piece of that without making it too cute or making it too, I mean, obviously you want it to be a good test, and you know some of the things aren't going to look as cool as, you know, as flashy. I get that you try to want to make it
Viewer friendly.
Yeah, you want people to be like, oh, that's cool, but part of that is like, hey, just make the freaking workout hard, not hard, but make it a test.
Isn't part of the workouts the ones that like we've done in the bar and you're like, oh my gosh, that would be terrible. That's a testament, and we do a lot of fitness, so you picking the worst combinations of things that go on in the barn.
I think there needs to be a combination of this scares me because I have to go so fast.
Yep.
Like it's going to hurt. It's not going to be like the workout's not going to be so overwhelming that I have to stop. The intensity is going to be there. Like I have to push really hard, but then there also needs to be a workout every once in a while that scares you because it's like, man, that's just going to hurt. And that was that echo bike worm squat. Like that was one of those that you just look at and you're like, oh man. And so, you know, it's tough. Like I said, you don't want it to be too flashy, but you don't want it to be boring to watch. And, you know, you just try to play those things. And so individual programming is I don't want to say way easier, but
it's different.
You can definitely tell a story a little. And for me as an athlete, it's easier. If you've never been on a team or worked on team workouts or done team workouts are hard to program because you don't want people standing around. You don't want to have a lot of, you know, too much built-in rest. Like, yeah, you may need some built-in rest, but I think that's something that people are, it's hard to grasp.
There's a lot that goes into it, like just knowing how long it takes to do these certain things, and then they do it at the same time. You got to switch and and
figuring out
it's
what
all these
reps
moving
are
parts.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
think back
a challenge.
Think back to 6-person.
6 is a nightmare. I can't imagine. You know,
there was a lot like more waiting around just in general.
So hard to program 6.
Well, do you remember too? I think it was the very first regional. I only remember this because my gym also sent a team, and it was 6-person teams, but you only picked 4 athletes a day to do the workouts. It's been kind of a progression over the years. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Sheesh. Do you have questions from the audience today? We asked if the audience had questions today. You what?
It's good. So I feel like I've talked the whole time.
Yeah.
No, that was fun. I mean, it was different. It's kind of cool to be on the complete opposite side. I've been on, obviously, at the athlete side for so long, to kind of sit back now, having like done the programming for individual, done the programming for team, now seeing what all goes into like the live broadcast, all the testing we've had to do on these workouts, the scoring and all that stuff. I mean, I would lie if I wasn't a little bit not bored at the event, but you know,
well, you're still doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and you're still trying to be the best in the world at it. But what I love is that you've obviously at the highest level, you know, been an individual competitor, and then at the team level at the highest level done that. So it gives you some cool perspective.
Right.
You know?
I feel like that's like a theme today too, is like even like from the president conversation to now is blind spots. Like it's so hard to know what your blind spots and things are. And not until you traveled to another country are you aware of how those decisions affect, how differently they affect everyone. And even as the parallel from an athlete to someone programming, like that's cool because now you just have so much experience, and it's so hard to know your blind spots because it's not until you really go do something very, very outside of that you can see them. Yeah,
one of the guys over there, Saud's brother, was asking me about, he studied business over here. And he was just asking from an athletic perspective, do you feel like athletics has helped you from a business standpoint? I was like, immensely. It's hard for me to imagine being able to work with other people, work on anything, not having been part of a team and learning, you know, just all that growing up. You know, it's kind of crazy to me. I mean, more power to people that are incredible business minds and incredible, business leaders that haven't been or played sports. I don't know what I would do without
there are
that.
A lot of large companies that recruit based on that because it's just like, and you can do that like being part of the chess team or whatever it is.
No, I'm not saying,
I get what you're saying. There are
team.
whole businesses that look for ex-collegiate or high school athletes to work for them for that reason.
It's crazy.
The experience in the athletic environment is just invaluable for perspective. This is how we got to communicate and get along and what we have to do.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
What do we have, Cam?
There's not very many questions, honestly.
Oh, okay. Geez. It was their time to shine and nothing.
What do you want for Christmas?
Oh, wow.
That's one of them.
What do you want for Christmas?
Exercise equipment?
Don't need anything.
That's about it.
I bought Kristen an Echo bike.
You went with the and you got a windshield too, right?
Does that make me soft?
Oh, yeah, it does.
The little...
you can say it's for her. It's fine.
It's still...
You can bedazzle it.
Well, I mean,
do you want to bedazzle it?
I'd like to just totally blame it on her, but she didn't ask for it.
I mean, I would be... I would think I need that airflow. I'd feel claustrophobic if I didn't. I've been on a couple Echo or assault bikes.
The air.
I can't stand it without the air.
Even when it's like 20 degrees?
Don't care.
I
like the air. It's like
it was
something
so
in your
freaking
face.
cold in our garage, and that air just blowing on me. I was just like, man, I can't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. On cold
Them
days, I'm
old
always
bones.
That's
It's
it.
funny how people are
Just getting
different too.
creaky.
Like some people hate the wind in their face, and other people like love
I think
it.
I would die. Like,
That was the best $27.50
die.
I've ever spent.
I was on your side, Silver. When it's cold and you're getting,
when it's cold, I can see it a little bit
blasted.
more.
no, I don't see it.
Like, can I give a quick shout out to her, to
Yes.
Kristen? Like,
Oh my gosh, please.
Yeah.
she's a
killing
million
it.
meters. She's just about there.
100,000 left, she said.
Yeah, she went
Oh,
under
wow.
100,000 yesterday.
That's awesome.
Look at her.
It's been so much fun because we've been married 8 years, and she was a competitor in college, but I've not really seen
That side of her.
that kind of that toughness, and not it's just because she hasn't really gone
Right.
into compete mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she comes home and she just storms out into the garage, and like
Just gets it done. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
How many is she doing? She said she wants to get done by Christmas, and she started in April.
she
So it's
started.
basically $1 million in 8 months.
Yeah. Well, she's got.
Wow.
She told me this morning when she left, and this is like her 100% single focus in life right now.
That's awesome.
She's like, I will finish on Christmas. What do you got to do today, babe? I got to do 15,000 today.
15,000.
Does she have
She's
it like
doing-
organized in the garage a certain way? Like, does she have it set up so it's like she's more comfortable there, it motivates her more, anything like that?
Yeah, she does. She's kind of put everything where she
Has it,
wants
like,
it.
dialed
I got
in?
her stall mats. We moved everything out. So it's like half for the cat, and then half for her.
For the cat.
So she's going to be rowing on Christmas.
She wants to finish on Christmas.
Oh.
What should I do for her?
I was going to say, you better
Oh my
like
God.
What should I-
decorate the garage or the house
You
or
need
something.
to, you need to reach out to Concept 2 and tell them she's doing it, because
Yeah.
she'll get a shirt and like this plaque and all
Okay.
kinds of stuff.
I was thinking
cool.
about like getting her some sort of trophy or something just for fun.
Definitely.
Like,
Talk to
Wow.
Billings. Talk to
Yeah.
Billings.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They make stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of the coolest $5 thing you'll
Bennett
ever buy for your
Industries.
rower or Concept 2 bike is the little thing that sits on there that holds your phone. Oh my gosh, I use that like all the time.
Why?
Because-
to watch stuff?
Well, yeah, or listen, or just not it being
Yeah.
cumbersome and everywhere else.
Cumbersome?
You know what's really cool?
It's not very cumbersome.
Watching her, because I'm around you guys, and you compete at the highest levels, and you're professionals, and it's a sport for you. It's been really cool to see CrossFit make a difference in my wife's life,
awesome.
and she's not at all. Honestly, she doesn't. Other than who you are as people,
Right.
she's not
Doesn't
trying to
care
win at
anything about it,
anything
right.
or care about anything. It's kind of like Hill, when it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever.
when she did her half marathon.
yeah, but it's fun to see it changing her life and her little
Yeah.
dumbbells and
Yeah.
the things that she's doing, and it's changed her body, which is really cool, and it's
Wow.
changed her mindset.
Just
and
having like a setup in a garage is like a
Yeah.
game changer. Like that you can walk out there, you don't have to go anywhere, just whenever you have time. Like I think that's really cool to just have something to go out and
Yeah, some type
do
of goal, you know?
and
Yeah.
in general, what I've really realized is it's affordable.
Yeah.
I understand that everybody on the planet,
Yes.
has the money
Yeah.
to buy gear, but
Right.
we really, honestly, we haven't spent a fortune.
No.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we went to Walmart and got some dumbbells at Walmart and.
Dumbbells.
Did that what I said? Did I say dumbbells? I went to the dentist today, and this is
You
all
did?
still really,
Done.
Wow, you don't
really
sound numb at all.
It's numb.
Oh, that's kind of amazing.
Sound like a dumbbell.
The dumbbell. but I think like what I'm saying is you can
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you want
If
that
you want to do it, that's the thing.
you
is-
want to
make it
do it, you
happen.
can do it.
Hey, and that's why I tell people, everybody can do CrossFit, but CrossFit's not for everybody.
Right.
That's a great
And I
way to
don't
put it.
care what people do as long as they're doing something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
who
Some
cares?
kind
Like
of-
we get
whatever
so
makes you
caught up.
happy.
It's once again politics, but
Yeah.
you get so caught up in, you got to do CrossFit, you got to do bodybuilding, you got to do powerlifting, you got to do whatever. It's like, hey, let's just
She's not picking up a barbell. She's just using the dumbbells.
Dumbbells.
dumbbells. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of that, my watch just told me, Rich, your move and exercise rings are usually farther along by now.
Oh,
Find some
no.
time to be active today.
Oh, I didn't wear mine during the workout either. It's going to give me
Have you
anxiety
decided
today.
Says I have 827 of my 1,000 move calories I'm supposed to get every day,
man.
and I've done 67 minutes of my 30 minutes of workout. And
That
it's
doesn't seem-
given me some like,
Some warning.
Not to mention they were really hard minutes. Those weren't like relaxed minutes.
No, my heart
Sometimes
rate
when
got
you
to, like,
yeah, but I don't,
127.
does the watch really care?
I think I died.
About, that much about intensity? Does it
I don't
gauge
know. It told me I had
no,
212 on my
intensity,
heart rate
intensity
yesterday.
does not matter
That's what I
whatsoever
thought.
to this
I
thing.
only wore that for like a few weeks, but I was like,
What is that? Apple Watch, right?
Apple Watch.
And you're liking it?
Most of the time. I put it on my, so like I don't like to have stuff on my wrist, especially if I'm wearing grips or stuff. I think I just push my if I'm wearing grips and stuff. So I put it on my ankle, so I hit that vein. I mean, it's not super accurate probably on the heart rate, but I'm not wearing the man bra. Not gonna do it. So it's the most I get out of, but I feel like it at least gives me a baseline of it being on my ankle. You know, I'll wear it on my wrist if I swim or if we're running, but during a CrossFit workout, I wear it on my.
It feels terrible.
I didn't notice that you had it on your ankle ever.
Yeah, well, it's because I wear it over my socks, so you can't tell. I don't look like I'm, you know, supposed to be out of the house.
I was disappointed. I tried to put mine on my ankle like him, and it didn't fit.
Well, it's because you have a different band. I have like a cheap
fancy.
Amazon.
Oh.
$15
Or maybe she just has this
for
giant
6
ankle.
of them. Yeah,
For
maybe
6?
It looks
maybe
the exact
You
same.
had 6 of
Maybe
them, and
I
you
have a
didn't let
cankle.
me borrow one of them?
No,
Just let me
they're
sit there
mine.
and say, oh, man, I have cankles or something. I didn't have cankles. It just
They're
doesn't
mine.
fit. You need 6.
Yep.
Okay, anyway. So I'm reading this book right now called The Alter Ego Effect. Have you heard of it?
And I'm out.
No.
Bye.
The alter
But I do
ego
have, like, 3
effect.
minutes.
No, not heard of it.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, there's a lot of things about it that are really interesting.
20.2 video sent to HQ working on that.
20.2.
They just now asked
Just
for that.
now?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a good thing you didn't delete it.
I don't know why I need to prove. I'm not even trying to qualify.
I'm surprised they didn't ask you for all of them, honestly.
They have now asked for all of them.
That makes sense. Anyway.
Alter ego.
Yeah, so this guy is saying that most great champions, business people, I mean, everyone, athletes, that most of them have an alter ego they use when they're getting into their higher states or to achieve that. Like Beyonce has Sasha Fierce. Like, she was a gospel singer and she couldn't, I guess, wrap her mind around being on stage and dancing and doing things otherwise, so she had a different person to achieve that.
Tasia has Wanda.
Oh, she does have Wanda.
That's just Tasia being angry. That's not even like her alter ego competitive state. That's just her when she's in like freak out mode.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, and then he was talking about one thing that I thought was interesting because we talk about environment all the time. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that if you change your environment, you can get to a higher level, which, I mean, I agree with. But I feel like there's some people that say you should be able to do it yourself, too.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know
like,
if I have a different ego, alter ego. I don't know.
We were trying to figure out if Haley did the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I do go to a different space when I'm competing. Not as much on team. Individual, I feel like, I don't know, I kind of closed everything out and like went somewhere.
But it's like the difference between, like, some of his analogies were if you, after you worked out every day, if you went home with the exact same mentality, you wouldn't be giving the same thing to your children. So, like, the intensity that it takes a SEAL or a ranger
completely different.
or a cop to get in that zone of chasing the bad guys or pushing your body to that level.
Beat
like
my kids all the time.
Right? Like, you just don't, like, you wear something different to achieve that. And something that you said that I thought was really, really interesting, because now it's almost like a buzzword to talk about, like, authenticity, like, oh, show up as your authentic self. And I love when people challenge the ideas of something that's, like, now the common theme. He's like, I think that's some horse, you know what? Mm-hmm. Because he's like, you have different identities.
Horse
that,
shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That show up for different people and different things.
I think people are saying the same thing. They're just saying it different ways. If we use Rich as an example, you know, I would say, we've talked about it this way, to compete is in his nature. It is embedded in his heart. It is in his design.
It wasn't taught. It wasn't.
Yeah.
No. Granted, was it maybe cultivated?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
100%.
But my dad was never sat down and said, hey, son, you have to compete.
Right.
My dad's never once said that.
Right.
Like, it's
you're
just
actually pretty
the way
good at
I
this.
was, like, growing up, having cousins that
Yep.
were all athletic or all competitive as well, having, you know, parents that cultivated that. That's why I am
Nature.
Nurture.
How you were born, what's embedded in your heart, and then how you were raised.
Yep.
And so when I look at him, based on what you just said as far as alter ego goes, like when he's working out or he's in a competition, he is in an ultra competitive, intense space.
He doesn't necessarily say, I'm Batman and why.
No, that's not.
I'm Batman. No.
It's not. But
I go to a different space.
Yes,
He's in-
so
and
you
then
do,
I-
but it's yeah.
But I don't have
There's-
a defined,
Right.
I'm obviously a completely different person when I'm playing around with Lakeland Tricer Violet.
Right.
Like, it's just,
So
it's
some
just
people
what it
have
is.
some people have to be intentional and articulate that intent to make that transition.
And some people just switch it on
You
and
can't
off.
be the same. Yeah, like you said,
Right.
you can't be the same person in every aspect of your life.
knowing when
To do that.
to
It's
be
the
in
hard
that
part.
space
That's
is the
hard part,
challenge,
yes.
especially when it's part of who you are. So
Yes.
being competitive in
With
the
my
wrong
kid,
spaces,
being,
Right.
like
Yeah.
destroying my child's confidence because I just
Right.
smash her and everything. Versus beat her just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not going to let her win.
It's really interesting though. So we see in our culture people who have not been successful, maybe, and then they arrive in spaces where they're trying to live that out in their kid's life or in somebody
Right,
else's
yeah.
life, where they don't have the ability to dial that back and understand that maybe that's something that's inside of them, but they haven't
Right.
put it in its place the right way. So
There was something else they said that I thought was really interesting was he says you become like the people you want to impress. So that he's saying that you actually, and this is where he uses one of your words where I'm like, I don't know. He says you adopt their values as a method to impress them, and values control your behavior, and you begin to inhabit their value system. So, I mean, I just thought that was interesting that you become like the people you want to impress. I'm assuming if he's saying like if you're in that environment with them.
I definitely have spent a lot of time watching him cycle the bar. I've watched him. I've watched where his hips are, how he breathes, and what he does, because I figure if I can do it like him, I'm doing all right. And I do. I try to adopt, and I watch all of you guys. I try to adopt how you move, how you think, the way you do things, because you're really good at it.
So you try to do the same with...
I did it in martial arts. I remember watching the master instructor, and I watched how he walked and how he moved, and I tried to emulate all that. So, and the things that you guys think about CrossFit and how you move and what you do, I do. I try to adopt, I guess, to use his language, what's valuable, and try to learn. I don't know about,
But it's saying and what came to mind to me when I was thinking about it was like you have someone extremely young and impressionable. We old and impressionable, because I know
Right.
like the environment and all of that has definitely impacted me and in my value system, or just cultivated it more, But like what I was thinking of was like someone like Haley, very young and impressionable. She comes to a barn.
We ruined her.
we ruined her. Listens to worship music, whatever. So is maybe kind of
For sure.
pulling in some of these values, which at very important periods of time could affect her behavior and her value system. Not like
For sure.
not some
Yeah.
cult
Right.
that's
That's
like
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But,
I mean, you are who you surround yourself with.
Right.
Like, it happens.
So I do agree with it.
Yeah, the thing that's kind of weird about that is just talking about wanting to impress other people. Like, you don't really, like, some people don't do it to impress other people.
Right.
Like,
You may try
just
to
want to
fit
get better. So,
in-ish. Like,
Yeah.
depends on the
Probably
type of person
the
you
wrong
are.
word, right?
Yeah, like you obviously want to fit in, but you want to find people that are better than you because they're only going to make you better type
Right.
of thing. You
I
know?
for sure want to be a part of the community, and I want to belong.
Right.
For
Right,
sure.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
Maybe
and-
you become like people you respect or
Yeah,
something
sure.
like
Yeah,
that.
like you
Maybe
should-
not necessarily like you don't like. Not in a impress. You're right. Makes it too like an
that
icon. It's
bothered
not
me.
the right.
Yeah,
the way you said that, but and it's funny too because not everybody.
Well, it's people you look up to. You're obviously... You already kind of have that type of value system anyway because you look up to
Right,
them.
and
Exactly.
And so
probably
then
things
you,
that
it's
align.
just going to kind of...
Not everybody that showed up at Mayhem, and I don't mean this. I'm
Fit
not
in.
trying to be negative.
No,
Fits in or
yeah.
values,
Exactly.
but Haley's a really good example of a personality that really matches.
Yeah.
Like she's thriving in an environment where. Well, she doesn't necessarily need to be coached specifically every day all the
She doesn't
time,
need
and
that,
it's
yeah.
and
She just wants to come in and work. And that's...
yeah.
We've had people come in and audibly complain and like, no offense to any of those people,
Right.
but it's like,
They need something different.
right. And that
Yeah.
in this group, you don't
The
sit
people
and
that
listen
have-
to people.
Yeah, the people that have stuck and have stayed around for multiple years or whatever it is, like, and even have even left, not because they didn't fit in, because they
Right.
had other endeavors. But the people that stuck around and stuck with it were the ones that you didn't have to. They didn't need one-on-one attention, basically, because nobody here gets one-on-one attention.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
I
like,
know.
we just all train, and you almost get ridiculed if you want one-on-one attention.
So this also made me laugh because he was like just talking about human nature in general, and I'm like, wow, this really doesn't apply to any of us. It's human nature, and you hear this in a lot of these like whatever human development books is.
Self-help books.
No, not self-help. We'll call it development. People move away from pain and toward pleasure, and I'm like, yeah, that's none of us. This is just like a painful environment in the best way,
Like,
obviously.
culture's a big deal, and and there are different cultures everywhere you go, and it's not good or bad necessarily. It's just
Culture. Just what it is.
where do you fit? Where can you thrive?
Yep.
I have said to you multiple times the thing that I think is the most valuable thing about your life, and I really honestly believe this, is that because of who you are and what's happened in your life based on your athletic performance, you get to live your life how you want to live your life.
Yep.
And to me, you're free. Mm-hmm. And if we started analyzing it, you would say there are lots of things that you're not free about. But,
right.
But I'm talking about you get to choose inside of your space. And to me, that's really the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That is 100% my goal in life. And I love that as an American, we have that opportunity. Mm-hmm. If we pay attention to relationship decisions, we pay attention to our money, we do some of those foundational, fundamental things right, we can get in a space where we get to choose.
Right.
And I think if we look at mayhem culture, that's kind of the foundational kind of basis for what goes. Right. You're the thermostat. Mm-hmm. What's going to go on in your day is going to kind of dictate to what happens with everybody else. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And then inside of that, there's a high level of competition. There are a lot of really positive values that people are living out. I didn't say it's perfect. No. We're not talking about that. I'll take that off the table. I'm just saying, and there's a lot of that works together in a recipe for success.
Right.
You know, when it comes to especially the sport of CrossFit.
Right. So this is another thing that was said that kind of I thought was really interesting was, bye.
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 You guys take it from here for the next
Can
doctor's
but you have to
Doctor's
say
appointment.
peace or
Peace.
it will never end. Okay, perfect.
Gannon. Dr. Gannon.
Dr. Gannon.
So he talks about like in the mindset game, you talk about people getting stuck in their story.
Yeah.
And he also talked about story because like we go through these things in our life, and especially when you're young, like you identify who you are and where you're going. And he was saying that he had a discrepancy between, and I was confused by this, of people saying, who are you and what are you? Because he says, who are you is misleading because when someone says, who are you, your mind immediately reels to your past, like the things that made you who you are. Mm-hmm. And he said, how do you become... I don't remember the exact language, but it's basically like, how are you becoming better if you're wrapped up in this old story of thought? So he likes the question, what are you? What are your thoughts on that? Because that to me was like, I see value in both. Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with getting out of story. We've all talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, he likes the idea of like, what are you? And one of the guys he works with, the boxer, says, I'm invincible. Yeah. And that gives him a platform to grow for what he's trying to achieve instead of, what are you? Well, I grew up in the streets and I'm this, and then there's all these other connotations.
For some reason, what are you? Like when I just think of that question, it just like, it has the connotation of like, what do you want to be? Or like, what are you aiming at more than like, who are you? Like you said, like all of a sudden you think of your past. So that's interesting. Just like where your mind kind of goes. I don't know if that happens with you guys too, or.
Well, the person he was talking to too was saying like, they were having a hard time with it because they were like, who are you? I can answer relatively quickly. Mm-hmm. What am I? The guy was like, I don't know. So, but like you were saying, I was like, I like the idea that it's giving you intention outside of getting wrapped up because the mind, it's going to reel to wherever these things in your life. We saw that in the mindset game, which is cool. Yeah. Listening to your story, that was one of the interesting things we did with you.
Like who are you seems to be story and what are you is like values maybe. Or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that probably he's talking about some of the same things we talk about just in a different way, but stories and themes run through our life. We have a story of the day. We have a story of our life. Like I use the example of divorce. Mm-hmm. Divorce is a theme or a story in my life that I had to had to put it in its proper place in my life so that it didn't destroy my present and it didn't destroy my future. There are positive stories and then positive and negative stories. And I think we have to deal with and quantify those things for sure as a human being. And then I think the other giant piece, and this is Mayhem Mindset's really about two separate things here. One is about identity, and I think maybe that's what he's talking about. What do you believe? Who are you? What do you believe? Purpose, values, those kind of things. And the other one is what we do. That's the job or the task. I think Rich Froning is a champion in the sport of CrossFit, but CrossFit is not who he is. It's what he does.
Right.
If I took CrossFit from him today and said, you can never CrossFit again, it wouldn't change the fact in his life that he's living for faith and for family. And he would figure out another way to compete, because compete's what pours out of him. So many people in our culture get defined by what they do.
Yeah, get caught
and
up
that's
in
a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, in good times and bad times, at some point, that's going to change.
Change is inevitable. Yeah.
It's inevitable to change, and you've got to be able to live based on something that's more solid than that. So I think the question, I was working with a guy yesterday who's a multi-millionaire, and he makes a ton of money. So I'm not asking him about success or doing a great job with his business, but I am asking him, well, what do you believe in? And past business, and this is the question he now has.
Right.
He's dealing with, I'm making a ton of money.
Well, especially routine, like at a certain phase of life, like you probably do things like, I look at my dad and like he has a routine, and that's a hard thing to break when you've done it for 45 years.
Yeah.
Regardless of, so finding
of like work or something that's just in your life. Yeah.
So flipping over your values, and
I think to be 100% of who you were created to be, you have to connect those from a position of strength, from an understanding of identity. Who are you? What do you believe? Then connect that to what you do.
Right.
And I think for me, the formula for happiness and success and a purpose-filled life is understanding who you are and what you believe, then connecting that to the job or the task. And if you want to do a really great job, make those things match up.
Right.
Do something, job and task, that really, really is purposeful and something you really believe in. How many people do we know that get up and go to a job and they want to shoot themselves because they hate their... And they do it for 26 years, and they're just completely in a coma. Because the task does not at all match who they are, their values, their talents, or any sort of purpose. So before you decide what to do, I think you have to really create this idea of identity. Otherwise, we can get off track in a hurry.
Well, think of too, and like it makes me think of like, like your meditation retreat and like slowing down and things too, is like so many people make the decision for instant gratification. So not only are you cultivating values in people and their decision and their long term, but I think that's like culture in general, because most people will make the decision based on instant gratification. Whereas if you're actually take 4 seconds to say, does this align with my values, as opposed to, does this just make me feel good, or do I just want to do it? And again, like a lot of times we walk past it because we do just want to feel good or whatever it is. But to me, that was something that from the mindset program really, really changed all the decisions, because it's you have these values, and it's not like, oh, you're done with the course. It's like, well, now do I want to live by them or not? Not, but like it's sometimes you walk past them and you don't realize it.
To feel is in our design as a human being. We feel first. It's actually the first part of the brain that works. The next part of the brain that fires is this language piece. So feelings are important. Feelings give life meaning. But if we just chase the feeling, your feelings will betray you. And one of the cool things about CrossFit is that just the nature of what you're doing requires you to hurt.
Right.
So that's why I kind of like hanging with CrossFitters, because they just somehow get, oh wow, adversity is an important part of where I am. I can't just feel good here. It's not going to happen. So one of my pet peeves in culture is watching motivational speakers, and they're motivating, and lots of us waste the motivation because we don't really know who we are, and we don't know how to operate outside of feeling good.
Yeah.
So it's like me and my coffee. I got to have it in the morning to be
Just
all right.
You generated
that
all
feeling
this
good.
energy for from whatever motivating person, but then it's like it's not sustainable over
not-
time because they got you excited, which we can excite each
Right.
other, but then what? Then where do you go?
Emotion is a great fire starter, but it's not sustainable fuel.
Yeah.
Over time, we have to be doing something for more than feeling good. It's got to be based on something we really believe in.
That's what's cool too about I think identifying your values is you can carry it through to different parts of your life. Like Rich was just talking about, like being on a team in athletics. Like if you're aiming at values while you're on a team in like even in CrossFit, where you said you're in a lot of pain, like you're in all this chaos, like if you can kind of filter through and think through those values while you're amongst a team to make them better, then you can carry that to anything else in life and carry that value of like dedication. Like, okay, I was dedicated in athletics, but I can carry that to like any other work or any relationship or anything like that. And you can use what you've already experienced, not like take, your story and feel like upset about it or bad about it or whatever happened. Actually use it as fuel to get better in another area of life, which is like obviously, would make it easier to transition through something,
100%.
doing something new
point,
or something like that. So from like what Rich was saying, like he had, he has these values that he's always kind of made important. And because of that, he uses them through into business and other ways too, which is really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So to wrap back to, all this back to I think the alter ego thing that kind of drew me into it at the end was when I first brought it up, I feel like all of us, because of the conversation we just had, we're kind of like, I don't really, I don't have to but what really resonated with me was in the very end, he was like, it's not so much about creating a character as much as it is, he says, what are the things that you have internal combustion about? That you're resisting against because you have a tough time seeing yourself doing them, despite the fact you want to manifest them. So, maybe in your heart of hearts, you really, really just want to be encouraging to people. And social media isn't a good example, but I'm just going to use it because it's easy, because it's a voice. Man, I really, really want to encourage people. But, do you think about what other people are thinking? Who would be that person, or who do you have to call yourself to make sure you are encouraging every day to manifest that part of you that you want your voice to be? Mm-hmm. And that, to me, I was like, wow, I do have internal combustion about certain things that I could take a step back and be like, nope, channel whatever intention it is or person, whatever it is, and that to me, I was like, okay, I could get on board with that. Not so much I have to
I think that's a great way
put
to
a cape
think about
on
it.
Right.
I don't know.
No, I agree. I like it. I think he's probably saying a lot of the same things that we say. Again, I've said it several times. I hate trying to dissect what somebody said, and I don't want it to be negative.
Especially when you
Yes,
haven't
of
read
course.
what they're the whole thing behind it. But.
I mean, to me, that goes back again to this idea of values. What are the things you really believe in? And then what are the impediments that keep you from actually living them?
What are some of the biggest ones? Oh my gosh, it's so cool seeing how many years has Mindset been around now?
Well,
Forever?
Yeah, forever. It's
But-
just 13 years of doing it, but 2 years of connected to Mayhem.
So you've been with so many personalities now. What are some of the bigger impediments that you see or that you're helping people through, you think?
There are three fundamental.
Knew what you're saying.
Foundational and fundamental.
I'm writing that word down. Fundamental.
Silver with a new word today.
Three things I always ask first. Can you, if you can really clearly talk to me about identity and who you are and what you believe, which most people can't because they haven't done the work to organize. But let's say you did and you knew.
The knife point comment always got me. I was like,
right.
That's so huge.
Yeah, 30 seconds or less. Talk to me about identity. Talk to me about purpose. Talk to me about your values. So most people need to do some work, and that's fair. It's okay. It's not bad. The first three questions are: Can you live those values in spite of what other people think? That's fundamental. Or do you just throw it all out because somebody else says so?
Right.
Can you do that in spite of negative emotion in your life? And can you live those values here, right now, in the present?
So what other people think, negative emotions, and what's the third one?
In the present.
In the present.
That's
okay.
the first question I want someone to deal with. Can you be And in mayhem mindset, B, capital B-E, means your values, talents, and your purpose. Can you be, in spite of what other people think, can you be in spite of negative emotion, and can you be in the present? And those are the first 3 foundational questions. Because if somebody else says, well, you're stupid, and you throw out what you believe, what good are they?
Right.
And if your emotions are so in so much chaos in your life that every time you feel something, you throw your values out, well, then what good are your values? And if you spend so much time regretting the past and so much time worrying about the future, then what good are your values? You've got to be able to operate here and now. So those are the first 3 things I ask somebody to kind of do some work, write some things down, take that out into your week or the next couple of weeks, and see if your values can survive those 3 tests.
Wow, that's really interesting. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think my last question, because I know we're getting close, is how, and I keep going back to this, because it was something else. I don't even know where I heard it. And you know me, too much content all the time.
I like it.
So much is about people the difference between people going to and going through, because...
Oh, I kind of like that.
And
I like that.
The analogy was to Michael Phelps winning that Olympic gold medal by, it was like 0.02 of a second. And it was because on the last stroke, the guy looked back to see where Michael Phelps was. So he was going to, whereas Michael Phelps swam through the wall.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a parallel, an analogy to the difference in success from people that are looking to their past and people that are going through their future. Well, I keep finding this theme of, well, don't dwell on your past. Well, I understand not getting wrapped up in the story of your past, but are you supposed to forget it all? Because I thought like experiences. So you see where I'm getting caught up? I'm like, it's just interesting to me that so many of like the forward thinking people out there are like, just past is past, and everything you're doing is not to, it's through. How do you feel about that? Like, what do you think about that?
I think that the proper perspective for your life as it relates to both those subjects is important. I can tell you how I handle it. I don't like it. I'm a man with many regrets. Done a lot wrong in my life. I made a lot of mistakes. I've screwed a lot of stuff up. And to say that I haven't would be a lie. I've done a lot of right things and a lot of good things too.
I'd say so.
but I'm just saying, if I look back at my past, I'm not okay with it all. Okay, so I had to figure out how to process that. Right. What I can tell you is that my past doesn't live in my future, and it's not in my present, because I created this language. Jim, only look back to measure how far you've come.
Okay.
So I do look back. And I do pay attention to it.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's only a measurement for me. And I've asked for forgiveness where I need to ask for forgiveness. I've done my level best to fix those challenges, to say I'm sorry, to fix it, and then flush it.
Right. Well, I like that a lot.
And not put it in my present and not put it in my future. So I can't relate. This is for Jim. Remember, this is Jim's code, Jim's philosophy. I can't relate to people who don't have scars and don't have problems, because I've just not lived that life.
And adversity is so meaningful in the progress of growth.
It is.
We've all realized that as an athlete and as a human being.
Right.
Yeah.
So I only look back to measure how far I've come. As far as to and through goes, my measurement system is, I do it on a percentage basis, and it's something I evaluate every day. Jim, you need to be 100% of the person you were created to be today. And there are days that in these areas of life, as a man, as a husband, as a master's athlete or whatever, where I need to do better, and I'm only hitting on, two cylinders.
Right.
And so I can say maybe I was 60% of that person. So I don't believe in this idea of arriving and that it's done and that we finish. I think we finish when we're dead.
Okay, so you go with the...
So I like this idea of through. It's a process. We're growing. I'm going to give up and give it hell today. I have a value. I have a value in my life, actually. Yeah. I spent my life, because of the way I was raised, trying to be perfect, and it destroyed me because I could never quite get there. And so I implemented
That's a big one too,
the value of excellence in my life. And excellence leaves room for mistakes, but I don't want to make them twice.
Right.
But excellence I can aim at. So looking back, okay, you're doing all right, Jim. Get up, keep coming forward, and then we can rest when we're dead. You know, let's keep moving.
Right.
You can definitely see how trying to be perfect will just stop you from before you even get started too. Like that's definitely not a through it.
Not at all.
Thing, you know, you just don't even like start because you're just too worried about messing up or whatever.
Talk about a theme or a story that was destroying my life. It was that one.
And I think that's a common one.
It's a big one.
Perfection is a big, or even people that are, you know, family, friends, whoever judging you for lack thereof.
Right.
You know, perfection is a huge sticking point for a lot of people, I think.
I need people to trust me, and I want to be trusted. And when people see me, if they're looking for perfection, I have failed. And I'm not the dude you should be looking at, for sure. Because I'm going to F it up, and I have F'd it up.
And to be good at anything, you have to be willing to just like suck and just make a lot of mistakes in the beginning anyway. So like you have to start not being perfect, and you're not even going to get to being perfect. So why worry about being perfect at all?
Right.
I say this, but I struggle with this kind of stuff too.
I want to hold myself to a high standard.
Yes.
And I want people, when they look at me, to know, well, you know what, that dude will show up.
To be able to rely on
that. Like he actually cares.
Right. Yep.
He's gonna grind. He's gonna work hard. The things that he says he's gonna do, he'll do.
Yes.
Excellence is important in his life, and we can count on him. We can count on him to be human. For me, that's my faith is something that's important to me because man, I need that grace, right? But I also want people to know that, you know, he's half crazy. He says some kind of wacky things, but you can trust him, and he's going to give it a hell every day at whatever he says he's going to do.
Wow, I think that was good, guys.
Boom.
Yeah. What is it? Episode 80?
Yep, episode 80.
Sponsored by
RP Strength app, Trifecta.
Yep.
Who else? Is that it? I think that's it. I think that's all he says.
Those are the big ones.
CrossFitMayhem.com.
Yep.
MayhemMindset.com. Go there right now. There's opportunities to get involved.
Yeah, we had a good talk about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Just
right on.
Good.
I think that's a wrap today.
Good job, ladies.
Awesome.
Someone's got to say it.
Peace.